Well, hey, and welcome to another episode of Beatle Dustino coming at you again today with yet another video and yet another album cover ranking video. So I had a viewer a little while back suggested that I rank all the Beatles albums covers, including the solo stuff. And I took it maybe a little step further because I've already done the UK albums and the US albums, and I decided I'm also going to include like the compilations and such. So right now I'm kind of breaking the compilations and live albums. I'm lumping in with the compilations. I'm kind of breaking them down into two categories, which would be kind of the 70s to the early 80s period, and then the late 80s to present period. So right now today we're going to do the 70s to the early 80s. All right, and stay tuned for the ranking after the intro. We're looking at the live albums and compilation albums. I kind of said just compilation in the intro there, but it will be the live albums too. And I broke it down to about 11 different albums, and I'm looking at just for this right now the US and kind of the UK album covers. I'm not really including in the rest of the world really totally, even though there is some great stuff from other countries there, but I'm just kind of focusing more just on the US and the UK stuff. One of these days I'd like to maybe look at some of the other stuff and see what I could do with that, but I don't have a lot of that to really look at physically. Even this I don't have a lot of. So I've seen it in record stores and stuff. I just haven't bought it yet because I've been more focusing on my getting my Capitol albums kind of set, my US albums, the mainstream albums, I guess, kind of set before I got really focused on the compilations and stuff. But I do got a few here, but just from what I see on Discogs and such, I think I got a pretty good feel that I could rank this any which way. So I'm factoring in about 11 of them, and you'll kind of see how it breaks down as we go here. I'm sticking primarily with Capitol EMI, but I did throw in one just because it is kind of, I don't know, I feel like people will say, well, why didn't you rank that one? Well, I'm throwing it in, and it is going to be number 11. I'll have it up there, which will be the Live at the Star Club in Hamburg, Germany, 1962. Quite a title on that. Originally came out on April 8th of 1977 in the UK and Germany, and didn't release in the US until, looks like, January 24th of 1979. And I believe it had a slightly different cover in the US. I got it up there. There isn't much there. That is why it's at 11. It's just pretty basic and pretty boring. And I mean, I suppose they really couldn't. It was already pretty much a bootleg type thing to begin with, even though it is kind of official. And it's had several different covers over the years too. But there isn't really much to it, so I can't really rank it that high. And as we're moving on to number 10, that's about the same situation with it. There isn't much to it. This one is an EMI release, which would be the Rarities from the UK, which I believe did get sold some in the US here too, but it was part of the box set, and that's why the cover looks like it does. It looks a lot like the box set that it came out of that had all the albums. And Rarities was kind of like a dipping the toe in the water of past masters type feeling on it, especially the UK version of it. And yeah, there's just not much to it. There isn't much on the inside, not much on the back, so I really can't rank that one any higher than 10. So moving along pretty easy on this. So number nine I gotta do it, I'm sorry, will be the 20 greatest hits. This one came out in the US on October 11th, 1982, and then October 18th of 1982 in the UK. Pretty similar album cover design. There's a slight different track list between the US and the UK one. I know one thing too, the Hey Jude got shortened down. I never bought a copy of this. I've seen it a couple of times, but just never bought a copy. I've heard so much bad about it. And yeah, it really doesn't have a lot going on either. When you pull out the inner sleeve there, as I'll show there now, I think it's got the die cut there, which you see the inner sleeve through that die cut of the Beatles there, which, not a lot going on with it. So it's kind of tough to put this any higher than that. And even with the inner sleeve pictures there, all the images of the guys there, it's a little busy for me. I like a little more concise, just nice photo of the guys there if we're going to do something like that. So that gets a little busy. It's fun for something like that. If you're looking at inner sleeve, I think that's great, which it is. But the fact that they try to kind of bring it into the cover design of it there. So yeah, and I mean, not the greatest on that. I think one, when that came out in 2000, I think did a much better job of doing this greatest hits thing. Plus they weren't trying to cram it all onto one LP. In fact, we were in the CD era by that point. But we'll get to its artwork and everything there. But album wise, definitely one beat that out, even though pretty much the same thing they're trying to accomplish there. There's also an Australian version called The Number Ones. Not just the 20 greatest hits, but The Number Ones. Very similar cover and everything on it. And that came out on May 13th of 1983. So I'll just mention that quick as one of those other kind of markets there. But it was so similar to the UK and US one that we're going to kind of leave it there. So, but yeah, we'll move on to number 8 now. And this one I know is a lot of people's favorites. But it's Real Music, which came out on March 22nd of 1982. It's, yeah, an interesting one. I think, like I said, it's a little busy. It's cool in a way. I know I might get some hate on that, but it is what it is. And there's so much going on in this whole package with the gatefold, the back, the front, the little booklet in it that comes with it, the inner sleeves. There is a lot going on, but it's just kind of, the album itself is, the album cover is kind of, it's a little much. I gotta hear the illustrations on it are by David McMacken. I think I got his name right there, David McMacken. But yeah, that I'm gonna put that at number 8. I've never been that big of a fan of it. I've looked at it once at my local record shop, and again, I didn't buy it. I wish I kind of would have now because they don't have those anymore. I think they had a nice stock from a estate sale or something, that the guy had just a massive Beatles collection. That's why they had their little specific Beatles section, and I'm kind of kicking myself I didn't just grab those as I was seeing them, but because unfortunately the Beatles section is now gone. They're just mixed in with everything else now, unfortunately there. But moving on to number 7, and this one I've actually got a copy of it, so I'll pull it out here. Another quite hated one. I just watched Me and Mr. Mayo. It seems like every one of these videos I mentioned, I just watched Me and Mr. Mayo, but he just recently did some very similar on it. But of course, it's going to be the Rock and Roll Music, released June 7th of 1976. Overall, I think the album is great. It's just, this is so odd. And, if they took these damn thumbs off, which are also on the back, what were they thinking with this? I kind of get it. Me and Mr. Mayo was kind of defending it there on what they were going for. I kind of get it. There was a kind of a 50s resurgence at this point in the 70s, and they were kind of running on that vibe too. Yes, the Beatles were influenced by this rock and roll music that came out in the 50s. So that's kind of what they're kind of trying to show here, is that 50s vibe of what inspired them into the 60s. I get that to a degree. It's so bizarre for a Beatles album. It really is. And I know this is a later issued Beatles album. Can't remember, is there anything on the sleeves on this? I don't think there is. No, they're just white sleeves. The labels, I guess, got the Coca-Cola thing on the labels, but that bizarre. Just bizarre. But yeah, I don't know. Overall, I think the album itself is really good. Like the track listing on it and that. I think I got like a promo copy. It's got the little hole punch thing there. But there's the track list and everything on it. But yeah, it's just, if they at least took these out, it might get a little higher. But it's still just a really bizarre thing. And Rock and Roll Music is going to make a comeback in this list here, as you're going to see. Okay, next up at number 6 will be Rarities again, but this time the US version, which was quite different. Actually really kind of did feature some rarities, at least for the US. And it, the cover was a lot better, but still the photo is so small there. I got a picture of it up there. And just all that white negative space there that they use on the front. But cool, once you open it up with the gatefold, you got the butcher cover on the one side. So great photos of them there. You know, kind of the inside of the package is pretty good. But the cover, I wish they would have just made that picture a little bigger. I don't know why they made it so small. And that's why that's going to kind of rank a little lower. But I think what it's got going on in the inside kind of brings it up, you know, with putting the butcher cover, especially on the Rarities album. Yeah, butcher cover would be a pretty rare thing to find. So, yeah, cool little vibe on that. Again, I wish I would have picked one of these up. I remember I looked at one at budget one day and I didn't pick it up. So a lot of these have slipped through my fingers there in the quest of filling out my other main albums there, you know, Beatles, Meet the Beatles and Beatles second album, so forth like that. I just kind of ignored those 70s things because I was trying to get the 60s stuff first before I moved on to that. But now I'm kicking myself that I haven't been seeing them elsewhere. But anyways, moving on to the next one. Oh, and that, yeah, I did say, didn't I, on March 24th, 1980 was the release of that one. But moving on to number 5, and we're going to have the Beatles Ballads. It'll be my next one here, which was just a UK and Canada, I believe, exclusive. Came out on October 20th of 1980. This artwork originally was possibly going to be the White Album's cover, believe it or not. And I think they were going to call it a doll's house. I even got a little, I remember I did this when I did my, if the White Album was only one album instead of a double album, I remember I kind of proposed that as the cover, and I did my little Photoshop, and I've had that in my collection for a while. So there we go. I'll put that up there, use that. But yeah, that could have been the White Album, and it's by Patrick. He just goes by Patrick, but his name is John Bryn, I believe. I'm pronouncing that correct. And yeah, that it's an interesting cover. At least it's artwork. Yes, not an actual photo of them, but it is actually of the guys, and it's kind of fun, kind of interesting. So I am putting that at number 5 on that. Number 4, I said rock and roll music is going to make a comeback in this, and here it is. It got reissued as a budget line thing instead of the double album that the original rock and roll music that came out in 1976 was on. Did I get that right? Yeah, June 6th of 1976. It came out again as a reissue on this budget line where they broke it down into a volume 1 and volume 2. So you had to buy 2 albums to get your one album, basically. They used the same image, just slight different changes. I've got, I should have a copy of both there of the covers. It's just the lettering got changed. Otherwise, the image itself is the same. It's just, you know, Rock and Roll Music Volume 1, Rock and Roll Music Volume 2. That's where the only difference is. There was a slight difference too in the UK. I'll have that one up there. So I think overall it's still pretty much the same. It's the same image of the guys, just the crowd's kind of gone there. So I'm not really going to make that as a different category on this. But yeah, I'm going to put it at number 4. This is, I think, a better picture than this one is, especially with the damn thumbs there. I know some people are going to argue on that. I know people don't even like this version of it, so I don't know. I don't mind it. This to me is, if I'm looking at a Beatles album, I want to see this. However, I know that they suggested with this, even with that one, I know John offered to do up some artwork for this. They also, he also suggested using photos of them from Hamburg by Astrid. I can never get her name right. But her, and there was another guy that did Words in the Corner. I'll have that up there for me. That, you know, those pictures, that would have been much better with this, I think, especially with portraying the Beatles with rock and roll music and, you know, kind of that early stuff. When they were in Hamburg, that was what they were playing a lot, so that makes sense. But yeah, I'm going to put this version of rock and roll music at number 4 on that. I don't mind it. I think it's pretty good there. So that should be the last we'll see of rock and roll music, or any other rarities and stuff like that. I'll get in kind of doubled up stuff. But up next, this one again, I've got a copy of. Number 3, 2, and 1, I've got a copy to show you. So I will show you what I got for number 3 here. So number 3, we're going to put the Beatles at the Hollywood Bowl. Will be my number 3 cover artwork here. I actually, the more I looked at this, the more I liked it. Initially, when I first saw it, I wasn't a big fan of it, but the more I look at it, the more I like it. It really is portraying what it's supposed to be. You got the image of the Hollywood Bowl there. You got the tickets from the 64 and the 65 show. Great. The inside here, the gatefold, really greatly done there. With all that, I think, you know, that really shows what was going on there. The back, we got a nice little write up there, another image of a ticket there. Even the inner sleeve here, I think is very well done, with the screaming ladies at the show there. So I think they did a really good job overall with this package, and this one I'm giving pretty good props to. I'm sorry, I'm talking through this here. There we go, we'll get that away. But yeah, I do like this cover. I think they did a really good job with this. And this one, I know somebody said the earlier pressings are a little more embossed. I never know if I say that right. Embossed, I think is right. Even the lettering up here is embossed out there. And you get kind of the perforation of the tickets and everything on it. So pretty cool little attention to detail on that. So I got to give that a lot of props. And I think it really does portray what it's trying to do here very well. So number 2, and I'm counting these as one because let's face it, they are the same. But number 2 will be both 1962 to 1966, aka the Red Album, and 1967 to 1970, aka the Blue Album. It's the same thing because if we flip this over, we got the same image that we got here. We flip this one over, we got the same image that we got here. So, and then we open up the gatefold, we got the exact same image, just one's red tinted and one's blue tinted. So I can't separate these out. I don't think it would be fair to rank these. And yes, these are the 2023 editions. So if you're noticing that, I don't have an original one or even a later pressing. This is the only version of this I got on LP. So yes, we're ranking these as number 2, both of them. Originally came out on April 2nd of 1973. The cover photo, of course, is by Angus McBean. Even on this one here, they brought him back to recreate it there. The gatefold is credited to Stephen Goldblatt. I'm saying his name right there. Let's see. And then the cover design is by Tom Wilkes, who kind of did all the fonts and kind of set it up here. And this being the same image that they used on Please Please Me, and Please Please Me I didn't rank very high, but this came up as number 2. And I said when I did that ranking on the main UK albums, I said I feel like this on the Red Album is going to rank a lot higher, just because you don't have all that, you know, writing here kind of blocking them out. It seems like it's a little more focused on them too. So I think they did a much better job with this image on this, and then loving the fact that they did the recreation of it, you know, years later there for that. So really cool, really great cover on that. And yeah, that is where that one's going to go. So everybody probably was expecting that one to be number 1 in this list. Nope, I got one that I like a lot better, even though it is a little using a lot of negative space, as I always say on this. But I am going to go with Beatles Love Songs, originally released on October 21st of 1977. Of course, the photo is by Richard Avedon. And it's pretty much the same thing over and over again. I wish great record shop, but why did they put the price tag on the cover here? This is, of course, a US one, so it's got the gold foil. Kind of the real, feels like it's leather. It's not leather, but, and then that right there, obviously it's the same image as what's on the front there. But that is just awesome on the gatefold. And then, of course, you got the booklets and the wonderful inner sleeves and everything here. But yeah, just overall, I think they did a great job on this. This photo is fantastic. I think it's one of the best of the Beatles there. God, Paul really looks, they all look just awesome here. Looking at this, this is just the coolest photo of them. This is just the epitome of cool with these guys on this one. So yeah, I can't not put this at number 1. So that is where it's going to be. And like I said, I am going to do a breakdown on this as I go, and I'm going to take the number 1 out of every category, and we're going to do another whole list on what ranks the best. I don't think this is going to rank very high amongst some of the other stuff though, but for this list, I think this is my favorite of them. And I didn't really say this at the beginning. I usually put this little disclaimer in. This is my list, my opinion. If you don't agree with it, great. We all got a different opinion. If we all were the same, what fun would that be, right? But you know, if you don't agree with what I said, just be nice about it. Let me know your thoughts on it. I want to know what your rankings are yourselves, because like I said, we're not all going to be the same on it. So let me know what your ranking is. But you know, don't tell me I'm dumb for picking what I picked or whatever or stuff like that. So. But yeah, I guess that is going to be it there. So the next one up will be the live albums and compilations from what I call the CD era. So starting kind of 87 on up to present time here. And we'll kind of look at those and see what's what there. I think we're going to have a little more interesting stuff, I think, in there, even though it is a lot more graphic imagery. But we'll see how it all plays out. I think I already kind of got an idea of what my number one's going to be. It's actually no. Ooh, we got a couple competing there now that I'm thinking about it. But anyways, I'm gonna get wrapping up though, as I don't want to make this too long. And before I do that, once again, I want to thank all my subscribers and thanks to any new subscribers. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And do hit the notification bell so you know when I got new videos coming out, like my next album cover ranking video. Also, I'm going to be getting another album review out here very soon, so be on the lookout for that. And just anything else that's popping up. It seems like there's been a lot lately, so just kind of be looking out for that. Also, if you do like the video, please give it a like. And like I always say, if you've stuck around to this point, you must like it. So please give it a like and do leave a comment. I love having a discussion with everybody. Let me know your thoughts on this ranking. Like I said, I want to know what your ranking is too, because none of us are going to have the same. So please let me know how you would rank these album covers. I think this was probably one of the more boring eras of their stuff. So I kind of, yeah. But I'm still curious what you got to say on it all. And then also, let's see, where do we got there? Oh yeah, leaving a comment and everything does really help out the channel and the video and everything. So please leave a comment. And that should be it. So I am Beatle Dustino, signing out.